Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Tierney and I am back with a recap of Real Housewives of Potomac Season 9, Reunion Part 1. So let me just preface this. I've had my ups and downs with Potomac. I think most of us have. I did not watch this season because I was so unhappy with the way that the reunion was handled last season, and I had to just step away. I don't know. I didn't really keep tabs on what's been happening. I've heard things. I mean, once you're in the housewife realm, I just get bits and pieces, but I didn't go out of my way to get the Potomac news. So I have a slight idea of what's been happening. I have heard mixed things about this season. Some people are like, it's so refreshing, it's great. Some people are like, nah, girl, this could have been an email. So jot down below what your thoughts were overall on this season. I will say, despite the mixed reviews that I've seen, the reunion was actually good to me. I really actually enjoyed it, and I wanted to recap it. So I'm going to go off basically what I was seeing, and if it doesn't really reflect what happened in the season, my bad. Feel free to call me out. Let me know if there's any additional context that's needed, but I want to just recap what I saw because I was thoroughly entertained. So let's dive in, shall we? Okay, so the episode begins with Karen looking really downtrodden. It's a video of her after she received the guilty verdict from her DUI. And they were just basically asking, like, how do you feel? And she's like, I'm heartbroken. I don't really feel bad for myself. I feel bad for my family. I'm just so disappointed in them. I disappointed them. I'm disappointed in myself. She said, I know there's a lot of people that look up to me. So do as I say, not as I do. And she said, I'm ready to take responsibility for what I did. Now, Miss Karen, I heard you weren't that accountable during this season, and I'm sure they're going to show more of that in, later reunion episodes, but I have seen nonstop that you were not you weren't taking ownership, with what you've done. So now that, she got that guilty verdict, seems like her song is changing. So more to come on that. So then Bravo producers edit in some of the body cam footage that was released. I really liked Karen, okay? She was probably my favorite housewife on Potomac because a lot of them are just really unlikable to me. And so I really liked Karen, and it was really hard for me to see that footage. I didn't watch all of it because I was like, Karen, no! But, like I said, the parts that I did see, I was like, damn. Ugh. And who was her lawyer that got this released? Because she needs to hire Shannon's lawyer from OC, because we didn't see any of her footage. Like, hers was such a tightly closed case. We didn't see no footage. We didn't see none of that. And I think the audience reaction to both of them is interesting. But like I said, Karen didn't help her case because, she's over here, I'm Grande, and this isn't going to touch me, and blah, 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 blah. Who knows what Shannon said in her altered state, but I think that arrogance of Karen, apparently carried her all the way up into that guilty verdict where Shannon seemed way more remorseful. And I think that was, because we know how her lawyers are, that's her first DUI that we know of versus Karen, where this is like a repeated offense. So there are definitely differences in the cases, but damn, I was like, how did that footage even get out there? Anyway, so they show the footage and the headlines, and it's just a really sad situation. So then we see a sign on the screen that says 3 weeks later, and it was reunion filming day. So we see the ladies come in really early, and they're all in their comfies. And I gotta say, like, I think this cast looked gorgeous without like any makeup and being all done up. I was like, damn, y'all look like ready to shoot now, you know. Anyway, so they all came in, and then we see them all getting ready, and we see Stacy and Ashley talk about Karen, and they're just like wondering if she's here or not. And then we see Kiarna and Wendy talk about Karen, and they end up calling her. It goes to voicemail because they're like, yo, where is she at? And Wendy's like, damn, this is like a slap in the face because I rode for her all season long and she can't even take my call now. So I'm like, girl, it is like 6 a.m. Like, what do you, what you want? But anyway, so we get to the set, and it's actually really cute. So it is a replica of their Panama trip, which we'll probably dive more into, but the set itself is really cute. So I was like, okay, bravo, I see y'all. The budget is budgeting. And Gizelle comes out. This is one of her better looks because we know she struggles. And you know she was happy to get that first seat. I said she stepped on out there as soon as she could, and she got that first seat right away. So she was happy about that, and I know she was. So the rest of the ladies come out, and everyone's looking overall good. I think the fit of some of the dresses were interesting, but overall they looked good. And they all sit down, and Andy's like, okay, so let's address the elephant in the room. So he just basically talks about that Karen's not there, and he shares that she has entered a rehab program, and Gizelle was kind of like, it was about time. I'm glad she's finally realizing that she may have a problem. The rest of the cast say that it's great. Wendy questions the timing of it, like, hey, you're about to get sentenced and now you're going to rehab. Like, that's very interesting timing. And then Stacy kind of chimes in and was like, oh, don't do that. Like, let's give her grace. And Wendy was like, no, like, you can support someone and give them tough love. Like, I'm not, just because I have a different opinion than you doesn't mean that I'm completely against you or I'm completely against her. No, this is my opinion. So they had like a little back and forth. And then Ashley was like, oh, I thought this may happen. And she pulls out this photo of Karen, this like framed photo of her wearing a white dress because all the ladies were in white. And she's like, oh, I thought this might happen. So I have her here with me and she can be here. And so Andy was going to put the picture up by him. And Ashley was like, oh, no. She said, I'm sitting in this second seat. I said, Ashley, how did you slither up in that second seat? Because all I've seen about Ashley this year was like, all right, girl, once this divorce is wrapped up, bye-bye, because what are you doing? What have you brought? So I'm interested to see. Oh, I know, we did see her package. We'll talk about that. See, I already forgot. We did see her package this episode, and it wasn't anything. So because Karen was gone, I think everything got pushed up, and Ashley was happy to be in that second seat, even though she didn't deserve it. So so Ashley was like, no, I want to keep the picture with myself. So she did that. So fine. So then Andy was like, okay, so I have a video from Karen. So he plays the video from Karen, and it's her all dressed in white, and she looks great. And she was basically saying, I checked myself into a rehab facility to figure out kind of the root of me taking antidepressants and alcohol. And I just really want to thank those who have been really supportive during this journey of mine. And so she goes on to list most of the cast. And just when it seems like she's going to thank Wendy, she like thanks Andy instead. And so it's like this really awkward, like, okay, why is she snubbing Wendy? Like, I didn't even watch this season, and I was like, what about Wendy? Because I knew from what I've watched, they were good. And then what Wendy was saying in the beginning of the episode, I wrote for her all season. So it was strange that she left Wendy out, right? And then she did, after thanking everyone and snubbing Wendy, she did add in, oh, I want to come back, you know, as Karen. I don't want to come back as the Grand Dame. I said, girl, who said you were coming back? So she made it known, like, I'm coming back for this check. Don't get too comfortable. I was like, okay, girl. So as the video is playing, Gizelle's tearing up. I said, Gizelle has feelings? I said, okay, who is this new lady? Because I haven't seen this Gizelle in a minute. So she's dabbing her tears. And then Andy asked Wendy, like, why do you seem unmoved by this? Like she said, the way that I found out that Karen was talking behind my back this season and then seeing her not thank me in this video, it just shows that she's not my friend. And as Wendy's saying all these things, they keep zooming in on Karen's photo. It was taking me out. I was like, if y'all don't stop. I love it. I love it. It was hilarious. There's a montage from this season of Wendy defending Karen and just being the one that was riding for her and sticking up for her. And Gizelle asked Wendy, why are you just now realizing this? I told you that Karen never saw it for you. Why are you just now, you know, why is this a surprise to you? And Wendy replied, I just never trusted you. So, you know, I had to go off of my experience with Karen. We worked through our stuff in the beginning and then we were good. So then Andy reads some viewer comments that were reprimanding Karen and basically saying, you know, it's unexcusable what she did. There was one person that wrote in saying that, I believe it was their best friend that got killed by a drunk driver. And that person said that Karen deserves jail time. And the cast, so when Andy asked, like, hey, what are your responses to these comments? The cast was really passive. And I mean, not that they should have had their pitchforks out, like, yeah, put her in jail. But I mean, the woman is she has had multiple DUIs. Like, she really could have killed someone or herself. But I don't know. They were just kind of like, oh, well, oh, yeah, you know. I was like, no, I don't know. Take a firmer stance. They take a firmer stance on like the stupidest things. But on something serious like this, they were just kind of like ho-hum about it. And that was annoying because as much as I love Karen, she probably does need a little jail time just because, again, it's her multiple offense. From what I'm understanding, she was not, accountable until the footage came out, until that verdict came out. And so you need a reality check because you can't go around thinking that this is okay. It's not. So I would have liked to see the lady step up a little bit more, but I understand that since they know her personally, there was, it was probably difficult for them, but right is right and wrong is wrong. And I think there would have been a graceful way of saying she needs some jail time for sure. But they probably didn't want to say that before her sentencing. Maybe that's what it is. I mean, I don't think a judge would go off of what the cast says, but maybe that was the thing. Maybe they were like, okay, she hasn't been formally sentenced, so I don't want to have any influence on it. I don't know, but they could have said something, in my opinion. So then we get to Wendy's package, and it shows her resigning from her professor job, making up with Gizelle, having an opportunity to film at the White House. So then Andy asked Wendy, hey, you seem lighter this year compared to past seasons. What can you attribute that to? And Wendy said, it was a burden to really have to like hold myself in and contain myself when I was a professor on national TV. And now that I don't have to worry about that. I'm able to be more myself. And then Andy said, okay, yeah, that's cute. But like, do you think it's because is it because you made up with Gizelle? And Wendy said, yeah, that was a little added bonus. So Andy asked about Happy Eddie, and she said, yeah, business is booming. It's great. And then Gizelle blows up Stacy's spot and was like, yeah, so I heard that you're also getting in the cannabis business. And Stacy was like, what? Like, Stacy looked caught. And as much as I know that Gizelle lies, because I'm not a fan of Gizelle, I used to be very, very, probably only season 1. I think after that, she went downhill for me. So for the most, most of the RHOP tenure, I have not been a Gizelle fan. So as much as I think that she's a liar for the most part, I think she was telling the truth in this part, because Stacey looked shook and she looked caught and she was like, oh no, what are you talking about? And is Stacey the one from QVC? Because I know that there was someone from QVC that was joining the cast. I think it was her. And I remember someone saying that she had like an anchor voice, like a TV voice. And I see it. I think they were talking about her, because it was very like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, all right, anchor. Anyway, so Gizelle like had some facts. Like she was like, oh, like you didn't meet with so-and-so and tell them that you were a celebrity and that they should partner with you and back your business. And she was like, okay, y'all heard it here first. If there's a Stacey cannabis business next year, I'm telling y'all now, like this is what happened. So Wendy was like, well, dang, like I hope you would have come to me first before just going into our same line of business. And Stacey was adamant. She was like, no, no, no. So then Andy asked Wendy about the trust funds, and I think there was a clip on one of the episodes where Wendy said, you know, if you don't get your master's degree, then you're not going to get your money. And Andy asked her to clarify that, because he was like, well, that's strange that you would set your kids up that way, knowing that that was a really big contention point that you had with your parents. And Wendy said, no, it's not an all or nothing with the master degrees. The master degree is an incentive. She said there's a lot of incentives that the kids have where they can get extra money on top of their trust fund money. So if they get a master's degree, they get more money. If they learn EBO, they get more money. If her daughter joins her sorority, she gets more money. So I thought that was actually cool. I was like, I need to look into that. I like that. So then Andy said, what's your reaction to being called not a girl's girl and self-involved? I think Stacey told Wendy that Karen said that about her. And Wendy said, well, you know, that's really interesting that even came from Karen, because Karen told me, she's talking to Stacey at this point, she said, Karen told me that I need to look out for you because, you know, here comes another really smart, educated woman and I'm going to have to like watch out for myself. And as she's saying, you know, she's educated, she's so smart, Giselle's like, is she? Is she? Because, you know, Gizelle always does the side chirping on the side. And I was like, damn, we are 10 minutes in and this is like your second shot at Stacey. What does Stacey do to you? Probably nothing, because it's Gizelle. But I was just like, what beef do you have with Stacey? So she blew up her spot over the Happy Eddie, and now she's like, is she smart? Is she? I was like, oh, shit. So I'm interested to see more about that dynamic. So I hope we get more about that dynamic. So they talk about Karen mothering and manipulating newbies on the cast, and you know, they just kind of give different examples of how she showed that. And then they circle back to the question back to Wendy being self-absorbed, and Wendy defends it. She was like, I walk into the room as if God sent me there because he did, and it takes a strong woman to be my friend. If you can't handle it, oh well. And I'm like, fair. So then so just to close everything up, Andy was like, okay, well, let me wish you a happy birthday again. Because I didn't even watch the season, and I heard like, damn, how many birthdays is she gonna have? So I guess she celebrated a lot this season. So as Andy was saying that, Mia was like, well, you know, some of us have also had birthdays. I had a birthday. And here goes Messy Ashley. She's like, oh yeah, like I heard about your birthday trip. Like, are you gonna tell us about it? And they were like, oh yeah, we could talk about it. So I was like, what happened? Let me know. So then the friend of comes out, Jazzy. Is it Jazzy or Jassy? I feel like I heard it said both ways, but I think people say Jazzy. So then Jazzy comes out and Andy questions her about her upcoming wedding. I think she's getting married in the summertime. And her man plays for the Cowboys, go Birds. Basically, I think the main thing around her was like the timeline of her being with her man because he had just had a baby before they got together. So someone writes in to Jazzy like, it seems to me that you were the side chick in the relationship, according to my math. Mia, you're the professional side chick here, so can you give your professional opinion? That was funny. I was dead after that. So then Jazzy defends her side chickness. She was like, no, that wasn't the case. I didn't know. It was unbeknownst to me. So she was kind of like an unknowing side chick. It sounds to me she was the side chick, and maybe she didn't know, but it sounds like there was definitely overlap because the timing is a little worrisome. Andy moves on to a package about GNA. And I was like, well, this is how you know they don't have anything going on, because how are you going to combine packages? So they combined a package of Gizelle and Ashley, yet they in the first and second chair. So riddle me that. I was like, no, ma'am. So they put together a GNA package, and basically they're transitioning from athleisure to, I keep hearing wellness, health and wellness, and then I hear community outreach. A mess. I don't know what it is. They talk about the event issues. So basically they were having a GNA event and Karen was getting an award the same night and sent out a later invite to the women, and some women wanted to go to both events, and then so when they showed up late to the GNA event, they got kicked out. So they showed that issue, and then them going on some dates, whatever. Like, I'm sure they're not with those guys now, so whatever. So then Andy asked Ashley about her divorce, and she said, everything's signed off. It's just, we're just waiting on the judge to finalize it. And Andy looked like he was trying to wrap Ashley's story up, because he was like, I ask you this every year. Where are you? Where are you? So then they talk about the kind of agreement that the divorce decree is going to have, and it's pretty much going to have Ashley getting support and no alimony. She was like, oh yeah, I signed off on that. And then she said in the second part of the sentence, in the prenup that I signed. I was like, bitch, you didn't mean to sign off on that. I don't know what kind of lawyer you had. It was probably the same lawyer that Karen has that is allowing all this footage to be released. But she was like, I signed off on the alimony and the prenup, so I'm going to get child support. And then Stacey was like, oh yeah, I have the opposite. I'm getting alimony but no child support. Who are these women's lawyers? Y'all need to call Sutton's lawyer. Call Sutton's lawyer. And I mean, if that person can pass the California bar, then they can probably pass the Maryland bar, and because y'all need to get your money. I have never in my life heard of one or the other. I mean, yeah, I never heard of. Anyway, so then they turn to Mia and they're like, okay, Mia, what's the status of your divorce? And she was like, it's finalizing. And no one believes her. They were like, yeah, girl, we'll see. So then it gets back to Ashley, and they were like, okay, well, someone went on your website and they said that they couldn't buy any clothes. So are you guys still buying clothes? They say no. And then they were like, then they were like, oh, we pivoted to community outreach. And then they were asking, well, are you going to make money off of this? And they were like, no. And they were like, oh, we're liaisons to the community. I don't know. It was given September, spring, summer. It was given a lot of that. I don't know. But I spent too much time on these people. I don't even like them. Moving on. Oh, wait, I can't move on yet. So then they talk about EventGate, and Gizelle kicking out Jazzy and I think Stacey from the event. And Jazzy was like, well, you could at least kick this out quietly and not like a gangsta. I was like, gangsta? Like the way she said it, it was really funny. I was like, all right. And I might be clowning her a little bit, but I did feel like she was nice and had good energy. So let me know below if that's a correct assessment or if she was hell on wheels this season. But she seemed sweet. Like she seemed at the end of the day harmless. So let me know. But basically, Ashley was like, well, you came at 8:03 and the event was over at 9. So like, how dare you come late? I was like, Ashley, shut up. So then they get on. So they're about to dismiss Jazzy, but then before they leave, I think it was Ashley that was like, wait, before you leave, can you tell us what happened at Mia's birthday party? So basically, Mia is so trifling. So basically, Mia invited Jazzy and Stacy down to Miami, and she was celebrating her 40th and invited them down there. And she texted them like, hey, we'd love to celebrate with you. They texted back, yeah, girl, we're here. We're so excited. When they get to Miami, they let her know that they were there, and Mia just ghosts them. And then they even go to her dinner, even though they haven't heard from her. And she didn't even show up. She was like over an hour late to dinner. So they were just like, bitch, like we're getting childcare. We're spending money to travel. And like, this is how you do us. So Mia tried to deny it at first. She's like, oh no, like she tries to deny it. You know Mia, she lies, child. Like she lies so much. So she tries to deny it at first. And then when Stacey came with the receipts, like the full conversation, then all of a sudden it's, so she starts crying, and Wendy calls her out. Like every time that your back is up against the wall and you're wrong, you want to start crying to get sympathy. And Mia blames her circumstances, why she's so that's the reason why she's so trifling. And she said, you know, this season I've fallen short. And Kiara said, it's like a 3-year season. That was funny. I was like, I enjoyed myself this reunion. I was loving it. So side chick Jazzy is dismissed, and then the women go on break. And then during the break, Mia goes to Jazzy and Stacy to apologize again. Mind you, at first, before the receipts came out, there was nothing to apologize for. And she was, you know, very resolute in the fact that she handled everything correctly. And then once those receipts came out, it was, oh my God, I'm sorry. So she goes to the women during the break and apologizes again. And they were like, they basically like didn't accept it. They were like, no, that there's really no excuse for that. And she's like, I just don't have the capacity to be a good friend. And I'm like, then don't be my friend. Like, I don't have time for that. So they don't accept. And then Mia starts crying, saying that she's gonna leave, and girl, bye. So we'll see if she hangs on or if she leaves. This is probably, I feel like she needs to stay, because I did hear what she said about Gizelle's daughter, and I want the cast to get on her ass for that. But I can see this going two ways, because I know Mia's so thirsty that she would want to be on camera. But I think the argument could be made of like, she doesn't want to take more bullets for the things that she said about her daughters and all the other lies that she told this season. So maybe like this is a convenient exit to be like, I'm just so upset, I'm leaving. So maybe she's playing that game. Who knows? We shall see. But that is my recap of Potomac reunion. I was thoroughly entertained. I watched it twice. I didn't mind watching it twice. I'm here for it. So I'll be seated for reunion part 2, and there's probably a part 3. So I'm here for it. Let me know your thoughts below. Please like the video, please subscribe, and I'll see y'all in my next recap. Bye.